So I probably named this video something like why coaching is a scam or why League of Legends coaching is fundamentally flawed, but I just wanted to clarify that I think that teaching, mentoring, coaching people isn't a bad thing. In fact, if there is a market for people who want to get better at anything, and there are people willing to teach that thing, it's fair game. And it's also good for the community. It's not coaching as a generalized term that I'm speaking about, but it's as it specifically relates to League of Legends. This video today is going to be addressing the issues that I've had coaching people in the past, and often the mindset that I see the community have regarding ranked in general. To make it easier to digest this video, I'm going to split this video into 3 sections, starting with section 1, the mindset. The mindset I see so often is one that I can boil down to this. You are the reason that you can't climb. And before I tell you why I disagree with this, let me give you some credentials first. I've played ranked since season 9 for every season, and have played this game for thousands of hours. I coached people for a little while because I thought I had something I could provide to others that may, help them climb and help them enjoy the game. However, after a little while of me doing this, I realised that I thought it just wasn't fair, having to explain to people things that they did wrong in a specific game, even when that game objectively was not their fault. In a game like Brawlhalla, for example, in ranked ones, it is your skill versus the enemy's skill. If you're not good enough to be Diamond, you will not be Diamond. However, in League of Legends, that isn't the case. The fact that the game is built on the idea of a 5v5 fundamentally means that you must rely on other factors that you can't control to win. To break it down numerically, in a solo queue game, I see the effort required to reach a win as 100%. Each player on your team has a role to fulfill to reach that 100%, which can be represented as 20% each. If you as a player can provide that 20% as your role intends, then you have done your job within that game. If you must overcompensate in that game for your other teammates, then you're doing more than you should to win. Expecting people to play at a significantly higher level than their rank to climb is just simply not fair. My argument is that there are external factors that contribute to people not being able to climb, as evidenced by myself when I was hard stuck Emerald in Season 13 on my main account, and master 55% win rate on another. This leads me nicely onto the second section of my video, which is section 2, the matchmaking system. I think that the MMR system that League of Legends has currently implemented for solo queue is absolutely terrible. I can't, in all honesty, sit here and tell you that the current MMR system is a good reflection of a player's skill. If anything, ranked flex is the closest you can get to a queue which is an accurate representation of a player's rank. Why is that? Most people use the argument in contrast to everything I said in the first section of, well, your team has 4 random players and the enemy's has 5, therefore, etc, etc, etc. I would agree with this statement if and only if the matchmaking system allowed for such matches to exist. However, in my experience, I have found this to not be the case. In my experience in my games, I have had many instances where I have ran into the same teammates numerous times in a row, being put with them on the same team multiple times. I can kind of identify based upon the skill levels of my allies and the opponents who is more likely to win within the first 5 minutes of gameplay, and statistically speaking, how likely is it to get a win or a lose streak in a game with a system like that? I do not believe from my experience that the MMR system in League of Legends is actually a true MMR system, and instead is an engagement-based matchmaking system. I believe this because Riot is actually incentivized to get players to continue playing their game. I've already hit my original goal of reaching Master in solo queue, so this doesn't really come from anger or rage, but rather comes from a very long and rich experience that I've had with this game. An additional reason that I think that the matchmaking system is a flawed system is the existence of a plethora of people inting, griefing, and flaming each other, and we all know about that. Every single time a person does any of these things to hurt a game, 9 other players in that game gain or lose elo that maybe they shouldn't have in the first place, destroying the integrity of the ladder. An additional layer to the integrity argument is that Smurfs are allowed to exist. Smurfs are yet another incentive for Riot to allow the integrity of solo queue to crumble, due to the chance that players may purchase additional skins numerous times on different accounts. Anytime a Smurf is in a given ranked game, it automatically makes that ranked game null and void, in my opinion. This is because this player is not playing in the correct elo on purpose, and therefore ruins the 9 other players' ranks due to them losing or gaining elo that they shouldn't. Additionally, some of the things that I spoke about in the first section come into play here. Due to the nature of the game being a team-based game, meaning that each player will have to rely on something that they cannot control, why is a performance-based gain or lose system not introduced to reward those playing well and those playing poorly? A counter-argument to this would be, well, people are going to save their KD and only play safely to keep their losses down in a lost game. And my response to that would be that there are an enormous amount of ways to determine whether a specific player is playing well, and given that there are so many ways to play well, there will likely be a solution somebody more intelligent than me would be able to come up with. In contrast to this, ranked flex is what most would consider to be the way the game is meant to be played. Flex is for people who want to play in a pre-made, usually 5-mans. The fact that this eliminates the lack of control by allowing you to choose the people you want to queue up with, and therefore also removing things like autofill and any way for the matchmaking system to create biased games, leads me to think that flex is a better representation of your skill. But enough about the matchmaking system now. How does this relate to coaching? This leads me to section 3. The coaching problem. I've done a lot of rambling, but how do these things relate to each other? And how does it cause issues for coaching? When you have a competitive game where you have to rely on things that you can't control, you get situations in which you will lose even when you shouldn't. When you pair this with a matchmaking system that doesn't work correctly, or worse, is artificially making it more difficult for you to rank up, coaching players to get better and to climb in solo queue often becomes flawed due to the low integrity of the ranked ladder. What's the point of trying to progress in solo queue when it isn't even a good reflection of your skill in the first place? Especially considering that climbing solo queue is a lot of what the player base would actually want to do. The flaw in coaching for League of Legends is that it just isn't worth it. Unless you want to go pro, of course. For everyone who managed to get to the end of this video, thank you for watching my first ever commentary video. I'm sure this video has some things that could certainly be better, and if you do see any, please let me know down in the comments below, alright? But like, subscribe, and yeah, see you later.